Today, we're excited to present to you a bit about our user interface. We talk a lot about the features and the benefits and bring customers to talk about it, but really we wanted to give you folks a look under the hood, especially as we've spent the last few months investing heavily in some of our features around targeting and reporting, and really it's just the beginning of a much larger overhaul. We're going to be rolling out all kinds of great stuff throughout the summer and into the fall. So just a little bit of housekeeping. We love questions. So if you want to ask a question, you can do so at any time by using the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of the screen. Or you can use the chat feature. I'll just probably see them a little bit later. And if you'd like to ask a question live, you can do so using the raise hand feature, and we'll call on you at the end of it. So like I said, this is going to be a webinar where we're going to get a live demo of some of our new features. I know some of you folks may have never seen the UI at all. So Sukai and Tyler will kind of take us through the context of where some of these features reside, but we will be launching soon a bi-weekly demo of the actual platform. So when that's live, we'll send it out and you can sign up for that and get a more just generalized overview of how you set up a campaign and line items and traffic and all that kind of fun stuff. But today we're going to focus on the enhanced targeting and reporting features. So the first part of that, the targeting part, is going to be led by Sukai Chin. She's the product lead on that. She's a senior product manager here at Beeswax. And so I'm going to stick around and just kind of ask questions as they come up as well, if there's any area that you folks want her to dig further into. And so Sukai, do you want to tab over and just kind of take us through these new enhanced targeting features?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Of course.
Let me quickly introduce this project that we're doing. So, of course, this is already released, but as many of you know, the targeting is one of the most used area of a DSP. And traditionally, we've had a UI that is very powerful, super granular, has a lot of complex functionalities. And what we're doing with this Buzz 2.0 version is to make it more user-friendly. And this is part of a bigger effort to ensure our customer have a good experience using the UI. And I won't go too much into the detailed general functionality of over our dashboard, but rather focusing on what we have built recently, the targeting version. And just a reminder, you sort of go through advertiser, and then you go through campaign, you go into the line item, and you can configure your line item here, but targeting is really in this this tab, and this is basically our enhanced UI with many other changes to come, which I'm happy to go through later. But just to walk you through it, at the top immediately you can see some high-level statistics about the line items. You can keep in mind what budget you're playing around with, as well as the status of the line item. On the left-hand side, you can see different modules, and the different targeting keys are organized within, or targeting fields are organized within these modules, which you can tap through. We have made some pretty good enhancement on the different targeting key components. You can quickly select things that will save you time. For example, it only takes one click to include or exclude. You no longer need to change the, you can change it here, but it saves you time so that you can spend more time actually strategizing, less time configuring the targeting. We have made some major enhancements so that these targeting fields are organized in a more logical order within the different modules. As you can see, app site, if you're familiar with our dashboard, contains a bunch of app site DLID list. That way you can easily find them by remember to go to this module. Content contains context related information on the page. Environment is really the environment of the ad rendering. Exchange give you inventory source. We have little hints of what type of inventory is available through these platforms. Geo is a heavily used one. As you can see, we have a very powerful granular targeting abilities. However, we understand that it can be overwhelming. So one of the features that we are introducing soon is a favorite feature. So you can favorite your targeting fields so that you're only introduced into a dashboard that contains the one that's relevant for you. just finishing going through these modules. As you can see, there are platform related ones, anything related to the device, the browser, the operating system of where the ad is surfacing. The time component is one of my favorite new things in this new UI. You can drag and drop to select, or if you're targeting something that is very typical, you can use shortcuts to select these, like prime time or sleep time. Of course, everyone's sleeping schedule is slightly different. So if you like to adjust and add a few hours, just simply click on the column to add them. If you want to remove weekends, so that's also very easy to do. The segment related things are within the user module. As you can see, we offer a wide variety, and these are only the ones we chose in the demo, but you can easily select segment or segment categories within these segment trees, or you can search, and we added the functionalities of searching by alternative ID. And if you're not familiar with the beeswax concept of alternative ID, almost everything that you are entering into our system, you can assign an alternative ID so you can better use the ID that you use to keep track of these items. And that's a very quick association if you want to link it to your system or just your internal tracking. We also added some functionality to show you how many categories and how many direct segments are available within these trees, so that you can get a sense of the size and how far the tree can go down. You can choose between include, exclude, require within the dashboard, this is basically the enhanced segment. So now let's build something. We can add app bundle list here. We can target geo cities. Let's target United States. And then we can add, say, the New York metro area. As you can see, the dashboard, what you have selected shows up on the right, as well as the number of targeting fields you used is highlighted in the number count within the module column. And with that said, if you finish editing your targeting template, you can go hit the review button, and this will give you a nice quick review of your targeting keys, targeting criteria. If you realize, oh, maybe this one I wanted to exclude, then you can quickly click on that and then change this and click review again. You'll see that got updated. Everything is good to go. I hit save and continue. Then that targeting is saved. So it's basically, as you can see, we made if you already use the dashboard, we made some major update to the workflow so that it's more intuitive. We introduced this whole new targeting summary, give you a very direct and good summary of what we have selected. This way, it's not all crammed in an area, and this gives you also a very easy access to the targeting fields if you want to make any changes. And basically, that's the brand new targeting UI that we have designed and built.
Wonderful. Sukai, do you mind telling us, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are some features that are coming down the pike that folks should look forward to in the rest of the summer and going into the fall?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to walk through that. And I'm personally very excited about many of these. So the one that people probably care the most about is bulk edit. So editing targeting templates, or we're now calling these targeting summary, targeting expressions, can be very redundant if you're making the same changes to all of them. So we're introducing the new functionality of bulk edit, which will save you a ton of time making adjustments or simply setting up targeting. So that's one of the major updates we're making coming up this quarter. Along that line, we also have the ORing feature, which is introducing targeting Boolean, or being able to OR the different targeting keys together. For example, if you're selecting friends and you also want to target people in New York, you will be able to do that because they reside in two separate targeting fields. Now you have the ability to OR them together. So that's one of the very powerful feature we're introducing, and gives you a lot of flexibility in targeting. You will also be able to, as I mentioned, select favorite targeting fields, which means you can basically reduce the noise that you're facing in the dashboard and be more efficient in selecting values that you want to target. All of these are something we have talked to our customers about, and our internal teams as well, that we feel will bring tremendous value to your day-to-day workflow. And just a side note to that, we're always super happy to talk to our prospects and customers and get the idea of what matters to you the most. So if you have any input, or if you have a lot to say, we're definitely eager to speak to you. So definitely reach out.
Mm-hmm. Great. And we do have a couple questions that are related exactly to what you just said. So why don't I just field them now?
Sure.
So will bulk edit targeting apply to PG campaigns automatically? PG meaning programmatic guaranteed. I don't want to assume.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, like, how wouldn't they? I think so first you need to be on this version of targeting in order to be able to use bulk edit, and then the bulk edit targeting is only happening for the content within this tab that I just walked through. So as long as you're using that to set up programmatic guaranteed campaigns, then you should be able to leverage the bulk edit feature there.
Great. And I'll take one last quick question before we move on to Report Builder, and then we will answer questions on both at the end. So stick around.
Sure.
But what is the difference between eCPM and CPM?
Yeah, so eCPM is effective CPM. That if you have adjusted CPM in the life of the line item, then that is the effective CPM that reflects the actual records of the targeted impression that happened. And then CPM is just this current CPM that you have set on this line item.
Okay, wonderful. So if you've submitted another question, just sit tight. We will definitely answer them at the end. But now let's talk about, how do you know if your targeting worked? You know, what do you look at? How do you know if your campaign's doing well? So Tyler, we'll go nudge him a little bit, shake his avatar. There he is. All right, Tyler. So talk to us about the new suite of reporting features that we're calling Report Builder.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Are we good?
Yeah.
I got my screen. Cool. So Report Builder is a reimagining, basically a rebuilding from the ground up of our existing reporting suite, formerly called Query Tool. And it's really the synthesis of a lot of ideas that came from talking to our users, our internal users as well, had a lot of feedback, and just kind of thinking through the workflows people need and the features people have been asking for a long time. And so Report Builder is the realization of that. So let me start to sort of contextualize this, how you sort of get to Report Builder, because I know some people are less familiar with the platform. So when you come to this drop down, you can pick from a bunch of different reports here that you can navigate to in Report Builder. For people who don't know, we report on a bunch of different stuff. Most of our reports are impression or win based, although we do have the bid performance report, which is bid level based, and conversion report, where you can kind of hone in more deeply on conversion level data. Our other reports are primarily impression and performance based. And if you want to sort of hone into something more deeply, like, you know, zip codes or something, you would use our geography report versus our standard performance report. But most people use our performance report on a day-to-day basis. I'll briefly sidebar to say we do have auction level reporting, which I won't talk about, but that's done through a partnership with a company called MetaMarkets. And I've done a previous webinar on that in the past, which I think you can probably find on our YouTube channel. But yeah, so, you know, to get to a new report in Report Builder, you'll come to this reporting dropdown. For the purposes of example, let's do performance report. And you can see we just immediately land on this sort of canvas of the Report Builder. So let's start on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side, you have a list of all your fields. One big improvement we've made here is it's just easier to visualize all the fields right from the start. And we've grouped them together in these sort of logical categories that map onto our buzz objects. So for example, things like campaigns are grouped together, creatives are grouped together, line items, etc. Right? And then down here in the performance report section, you'll get all your information about the metrics and specific performance report specific fields that you want to report on. You can also note that the dimensions or fields are highlighted here in black versus the numbers like impressions are highlighted in gold. And that gives you a visual indicator of what's going to be a number, what's going to be more of like a describing feature in a report that you're going to group on. All that's sort of useful sort of visual assistance to sort of understand that. The other thing is you can see that even within these categories, there are these subcategories that we found are really useful to, again, just kind of highlight where certain fields may be. So for people who don't know, we have an A/B testing feature. So all the A/B testing related fields live in this experiments field, for example. Really cool thing that we've added is this search bar at the top. So maybe you're new to our platform, you don't know what fields we do and don't have. So does beeswax support line item? Hopefully, yes, we do. And you can see here we do a fuzzy search of everything that is line item related, whether it's within that category or has like line item in the name. So let's add line item name to the report. You can see to just add fields, you can just kind of unclick to remove them. You can also click filter up here. I'll skip that for now, but let's actually filter on campaign name, because for the purpose of this demo, I have a demo campaign. While we're over here in the filter section, I'll kind of show people. You can see you can add multiple filter conditions. If you want to do something is equal to, you want to change this to contains, you can see there's a nesting of the logic. So this allows you to do, if you want to build something really complicated in your filtering logic, it's totally something you can do here. But we'll keep it simple here and just filter to webinar demo. Also set it to the last 30 days. And let's add a few more fields like hour. And we probably want to see impressions. So let me run this. So while this is running, you can see there's a time zone feature here. So this is something we supported in the past. We're continuing to support in Report Builder, but by default, you can see up here, my account is actually set to Singapore or Malaysia. So the time zone's Kuala Lumpur. But if I wanted to overwrite this and run this in New York time, I can just do that here as well. So now you can see I get a tabular result of the data. I can actually move around the columns if I want as well. So this will also affect the order the columns are exported in. So if you prefer line item is on the left or right, that's absolutely something you can do as well. One big improvement in Report Builder that I'm particularly excited about is the ability to pivot data. So people who are more familiar with something like Excel or Sheets will be familiar with pivoting. That's effectively the ability to take a dimension and distribute it distribute the metrics horizontally across a field. So if we go back to line item name, you can see all the line items here. I named them A, B, C. They're all kind of jumbled together. So it's hard for me to get an idea of like, okay, which one's getting more impressions than the other. If I come over here and pivot it and run the report, you'll now see, oh, wow, this is really interesting. Line item A only got 6 impressions, whereas line item B is getting a lot of different traffic. So it's just another way to sort of bring your fields, kind of visualize them in a different way, but hopefully makes it really easy to do analyses. I didn't show this, but we also have support for totals. I'd have to rerun the report to get that, so I won't do it. But if you want to quickly do some math for the whole column, you can get totals there as well. Another great, really exciting thing, I think probably the most exciting thing, is this visualization capability that's being added. So you can see just by default, I'll actually uncollapse the table again. In parallel with the tabular results that get output, you'll also get a visualization. And Report Builder effectively makes a best guess based on the data that's in the table, what sort of visualization you want. So in this case, it's a time series data with impressions, so like a number, a count over time. And so it's guessing, okay, you probably want to do some sort of line graph. And you've actually pivoted it across 3 line items. So I'm going to guess those are the 3 series of the line graph you want to see. So you can do all sorts of stuff with that. Like if you want to, you can modify it by hiding columns here. So you would just hide this from the visualization, for example, and that would modify the visualization. So it takes some time to play around and learn how the visualization features work, but it can be really powerful and useful. I'll quickly show. So we have other support for things like columns, scatter plots, all sorts of very useful things depending on what you need. Over in the corner, there are also some more settings related to the visualization capabilities. So, if you want to swap the X and Y axis for whatever reason, kind of weird in this scenario, but something you can do. You can set we don't have a secondary metric here, but for example, if I had clicks in this report, I could put clicks on a right axis over here so that it wouldn't just be like 10 clicks over here in the corner and you couldn't see it. So really powerful visualization capabilities, and I think it's something we're really excited about and want to see how our customers use it. So that's a lot of how we do the ad hoc reporting. Let's talk about other workflows. So for example, you can still, as with our old reporting tool, you can still come in here and download the report. Lots of different formats, including now a PNG of this visualization. So let's say you want to take this visualization, you want to put it in a slide deck for some sort of presentation. That's totally now an option to you. So we hope this gives people sort of expanded capabilities with the data they want to use. There's also, there's the capability to still export to standard formats like CSV. A new thing for us is we're now removing the capability to have a row limit. If you want to, export hundreds of thousands of rows and your machine can somehow open the file, this is something you can now do, which is hopefully really powerful for ad hoc analyses. Maybe you need a lot of data for something. So let me, I'll show you people briefly. You can save a report. I've kind of pre-saved a report, put something in the oven before this presentation, but you can see you can save a different report here just by going over the gear and clicking save. There's two spaces you can save in. So there's a group space, which will be everybody who shares the beeswax account. So I won't go too much into the difference between like a customer buzz key and an account, but basically it's a security level of groupings of permissions together. So everybody within the same account will share those permissions. But maybe you have a report that's more sensitive, or you don't want to clog up everybody else's report list. So you now have a personal space as well where you can come in and save your own reports and access them for future use. So let's say you want to access one of those reports. You would come up to this 4 squares in the top right corner. You pick from the list here, something like webinar saved report, which I pre-built, and you can see by default, it gives you the visualization that you specified. And you can also specify a table as a visualization. If you don't want something like this, if you just want to see the data in tabular form, that's still something you can do here. So this will rerun the report. You can see it ran just now. But if you want to go back and maybe make edits, all you have to do is go to this gear and click explore from here. And then you get back to this page. I can come in and add more fields as I see fit. Let me jump back there to show, I think, the last thing I want to show, which is some big enhancements to the way people can schedule reports. So I already have a pre-built schedule for this, but this was something we could do before, is we could schedule reports to people, but we've really sort of leveled up the functionality here. So as before, you can list a bunch of different users that you want to send a report to, but maybe you want to add a custom message and give some context here. So, hey, check out my cool report. You can pick the format. And here's the big, I think, change that's going to be exciting for a lot of people. We've really made it a lot more flexible in how you want to schedule your reports. So if you want to send this every day at a specific time of the day, you can do that now down to 5-minute windows. So you want to send this 5:25 only on weekdays or only on Tuesday and Thursday. This is now something you can do, versus in the past, we had daily, weekly, monthly support, but with a lot less flexibility around the exact time of delivery for a report. Yeah, and we have similar things for the other schedule cadences as well. So you want something only once a quarter, maybe on the 8th day of the month or something, also something you can do. So there's a lot more I could talk about here, but I hope that's like a good high level. And Paul, I think over to you.
Wonderful stuff. I know your features here you just all presented, and probably all like your children. You don't want to have to play favorites, but if I forced you to play favorites, what do you think has been the biggest jump in efficiency or productivity or just functionality that you can point to, and all these features you just showed us?
So I think the visualizations is going to be a big piece for a lot of people. People have been asking about visualizations for a long time, basically since I came here. So that's definitely going to be really useful for people who want to just see data in more of a summary form. If I have to pick two, which I kind of want to pick two, I do feel like the scheduling thing will be really useful for a lot of people as well, because a lot of people have told me, like our customer success team has told me, like, my customer wants this at a specific time of the day. How do I get that to happen? And I said, wait for Report Builder. And so that's something else, you know, it's not as sexy up front, but I think it will be useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, actually, and we just got a quick question about that. So the question is, can one schedule reports to be sent out to clients? It seems like that's kind of the use case here,
Yeah,
right?
I believe it is possible to, I'll double check, but I'm fairly certain it is possible to do external email scheduling. It may be something I need to turn on, but or like make sure that our code is configured for it, but I believe it is possible.
All right, so if you guys don't mind, let's just start hammering out some of these questions. So I'll just go through the list, and I'll start with the reporting ones because that's what we just went over, and then we can talk about targeting. We already took a couple targeting questions, but we'll come back to those. So are the fields report type dependent? Is our first question here.
Yeah, so most reports have a lot of overlap in the fields, right? So things like line item information, campaign information, dates, that will be consistent across report. Some reports do have specific field types. So for example, I kind of hinted at this earlier, we have a geo report. So if you want to go specifically zone in on, you know, zip code information, you would go to the geo report. And the geo report would have additional fields on top of the performance report, but it would also be very geo focused. And we've done this just to optimize for performance so that it's easy to get like all the geo data together and all the domain data together and kind of store them in separate tables in a way that's kind of efficient under the hood.
Okay, great. Can you use the report builder to get impression logs for a campaign/line item? Example, for a mobile app targeting campaign, get the list of unique device IDs.
So Report Builder only surfaces aggregated data at this point in time. We do offer that in our logs products, but right now Report Builder is only aggregate. Yeah, or our antenna product, which is something else I've been working on and we released recently, which also gives you like a SQL querying access to raw logs.
Check out our YouTube page for the video and webinar about antenna. It is there, and that's our impression logs product that also Tyler was the product lead on. So you'll see him going over all the bells and whistles of that. All right, let's take a question about targeting. But by the way, there's a few questions here about forecasting. I can't tell you exactly when, but there are some forecasting features that are coming. I don't know if Tyler and Sukai, you want to chime in any information you have about forecasting?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I think it's the same as what you said, which is there are forecasting features coming, but I don't have a timeline. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we won't take, so for all those who asked specific questions about that, best to email at us at info@beeswax.com if you have a very specific question, because there's little that we're cleared to say right now on that. So let's take a look at some targeting questions here. So app list, mobile web and in-app bundle names, still and oper and Boolean usage? I guess that's for Sukai. I'm having a little trouble parsing the question.
Yeah, so I think if I'm understanding right, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're asking about whether or not we would have the ability to OR different, like say app bundle list and app list, app name, those things together. Mm-hmm. So we will be able to do that in the new targeting OR function. And what that basically is, and I think I can show a preview, and this is only work in progress. Let me quickly show this screen. Is basically within each module, you would be able to OR the different targeting fields together. So for example, what I set up here, and you can select things that you need versus not. And for example, here I've selected app name field, app ID, app bundle list, and domain list. So basically I'm ORing these 4 different values together. So if the impression hit anything within these 4 things, then it will be bid on. Instead, currently what we do is that in the regular feature, and we disable these keys because you can't OR them and end them together. But basically, currently, if you say target deal ID list and this placement ID list, the impression needs to hit both in order to be targeted. So the new feature we're introducing is to be able to OR different targeting fields within a module together. Like for content, you can OR these together if you would like, or if you just use the regular targeting, they'll be ended together. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Back to reporting. What is the cadence refresh of our data on that?
So aggregate data is refreshed every hour. The job to refresh it runs every hour, so it takes some time after, but it's 1 hour behind.
Okay, great. Does the new reporting improvement apply to all the different reports or only the performance reports?
It will apply to all the different reports. Yep, so if you sign up today, if you're an existing customer, you should have access to everything that was available in Query Tool. And in fact, we're actually building a new report right now, which will be only exclusively available in Report Builder.
Yeah. Great. I'll take a question and then I'll turn it back to you guys. But the question is, how are you able to extract lat long? Are you obtaining permission from the user to collect and use it? We don't actually report on lat long. We only use precise lat long with consent in Europe. So that answers that question. And the last question, unless anyone wants to sneak one in under the wire, will there still be line item ID?
Is this for reporting?
I'm not exactly sure. I guess, yeah, I think it's a reporting question.
Yeah, I'll just share again real quick. It's right here. So yeah, I just figured for the purposes of the demo, it's nicer to see a name than a number. But yes, all that stuff is here. Alt IDs for people who use that. Everything, I guess is a good time to say, everything that was in Query Tool, all those fields should be here. They may have a slightly different name, but we've worked very hard to make sure that you know, you're not losing any data by switching over to Report Builder if you're an existing customer.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. And of course, a big thanks to Tyler and Sukai for walking us through this. Really, it's wonderful having the people who actually built the product to, you know, and manage the flow of it at least. And, you know, a great shout out to our engineering team who actually did the building. But, you know, it's really great to see how it's matured and grown over the years. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and joining us, especially those who come again and again just to our webinars here. And if you have any questions, once again, just info@beeswax.com. You can email me, which is pk@beeswax.com, and I can make sure I get your question to the right person. But stay tuned for some even more features in our targeting and report builder and all kinds of other stuff. And so we will come back to you when we have another webinar about those things. So everybody, I hope you stay safe. And just one question just came in. Will there be a recording? Yes, as always, we will post this recording on our YouTube page. And usually within 24 hours, we send out an email to anybody who's registered. So those who weren't able to make it, if you have a colleague who wasn't able to make it, who did register, they should get an email from us with the link to the YouTube, or sometimes we host it on our blog, but it's just a YouTube embed. So I do encourage all of you, if you want to learn more about a lot of the topics that we barely touched on today, go to our YouTube page. It's youtube.com/c/beeswaxio, just one word. And I pasted that in the chat. But we post all these webinars there. We post a lot of other content there. There's testimonials, there's case studies, there's all kinds of great stuff that can give you a better view of beeswax under the hood and whether BAS is a good idea for you. So thank you. Please stay safe, and we'll see you next time.